Hello, my beautiful friends. My name is Tracy McMahon. I am a spiritual mentor and intuitive guide and healer. And here today, I'm just going to share with you something that I shared with a friend of mine this morning. So she messaged and she went through something pretty heavy last night. And so at 2 o'clock this morning, she was in full overwhelm. Her mind's going 100 miles an hour. The monkeys are making up stories in her head. She was highly anxious, and it was something to do with her partner. And it was really like playing havoc on her mind. So she messaged me and she said, like, what do I do? I just need to like talk to somebody that's like free of judgment. And I said to her, the first thing I'd do is go and do a write and burn. Now, what is a write and burn? This is really powerful stuff. So you might be feeling, if you've got overwhelm going on, if you've got a lot going on in your life, and there's all these little dots that you've got to join, and you've got so many like fingers in so many pies, and you've got so much going on, and you're just finding you're not landing anything. Or maybe you're having a bit of a creative block where you're trying to create something and you just can't get it to land. Or the other thing is maybe just life is just like on top of you and you feel quite overwhelmed and stressed. So what we've got to do is, if you really think about it, just like our phone, through the day, you're going through and you're closing down the apps so that your phone battery has better life and that your phone works at its optimal state. The same thing happens with our mind. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. The one that I suggested that my friend do, because she is into this spiritual practice, she knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I said to her, do a write and burn. So what that is you get a couple of pieces of paper and a pen. You get yourself a saucepan with a lid, and you get yourself a lighter. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down and you are going to write absolutely everything that's coming in your head. Not only about like what's going on with this immediate situation, but all those looping thoughts that sit there and just go round and round and round, and they're not giving us any respite. We want to just get it all down on the paper. So just write and write and write. Now, the whole thing about this is nobody, including you, are ever going to read this. So write like nobody's going to read it. And just, if it gets foul, if it gets nasty, if it gets like full of swear words, if it sounds really, really ugly, this is not for you to filter. This is for you to give yourself the unfiltered permission to just write whatever's going on in your head. Write it all down. And when you think you've finished it, there's always that little bit more that's stuck in the back there. So keep writing. Now, what you do is you go outside, you take your saucepan and you take your lid. You go somewhere safe where you're not around like the house, and you're going to scrunch that paper up. You do not read it, okay? Do not have a look at it and read it again, because that's just going to put it back in. We've just got it all out. Scrunch it up, get the lighter, and light that sucker on fire. Excuse me. So pop it into the saucepan, light it, and then let it burn. Now, you might want to make a whole ritual around this and a practice around this. You might want to pray beforehand, ask spirit, God, universe, whatever it is that you believe in, to take the energy of this and transmute it. Or you might just want to be human and just go, you know what? I just need to get this out of my head. Write it all down and burn it. Now, the other thing is that sometimes, and I know that I've found this, sometimes things are really getting to me and I just don't have the capacity, I guess, to sit and write. Pick up your phone, put the voice memo on, or just put the video on and speak it. So this is a really good one to do, is go somewhere and even just sit it on the driver's, like the passenger seat of the car. Press record and drive along just talking out loud to yourself. So it doesn't always mean that you're having like these ranting and raving episodes. It might just mean you need to like just close down the apps, take the garbage out. And somebody asked me like, oh, but if I speak it, does that mean that I'm going to like forget it? And I said, no, 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 you're not deleting the thought. What you're doing is you're taking away the weight of it. It's still going to be in there if it's important, but it's just going to stop that constant looping and having that energy sitting there with nowhere to go. What it does is it just builds up momentum and the stories get like more embellished, and you just end up so far away from your truth. So this will bring you back to your truth. So write it all down, burn it, or speak it all out. Do not listen to it back and then just press delete. Okay, so that's a really amazing way that you can just, and I mean, seriously, you can have, I've got clients that actually have like a saucepan in the backyard somewhere. And it doesn't matter if you're just having a day where you've just woken up and you've got these thoughts on your mind and it's getting in the way, or you're just highly strung, or you're very, very stressed, or you're trying to create something and you just can't seem to bring it through. Whatever it is, it doesn't need to be pages long. Sometimes it's just a sentence. Just write it down, go burn it. It's amazing. So, in this case this morning, what it does is instead of this person going and like projecting all of that onto her partner, because it was a situation with her partner, instead of her just going and just emotionally dumping that on her partner, which what does that do? That's like putting fuel onto a fire. She goes and like burns her fire off. So she says all those things that are in her head and all the stories that her mind's making up, and she writes them all down and she burns them. So that when she goes and has the conversation with the partner, all that excess emotion and baggage and all of that stuff has been taken out of the equation. So this is so freaking epic in how it supports you to be able to communicate your truth. So whether it is that you've got overwhelm, where there's too much on, you've got a creative block, or you're wanting to communicate something, or there's something that's really triggering you and you have got like, oh my God, like seriously, you've got that sort of situation going on, write it down, burn it, voice it out, delete it, and then move on with your life. Now, you can do this as often as you like. Sometimes I've got clients that do this on a regular, like they do weekly. They do this. If you think about it with your phone, you're doing this every day. You're clearing off the apps, like you're shutting them down. If you find yourself getting in bed at night and you can't stop thinking, then your apps are open. So another thing that you can do is just close down your eyes and visualize yourself just closing down the apps on each one of those thoughts. That's another technique you can use to just release those unnecessary chitter-chatter thoughts that the monkeys are going on with, calm that down and just bring you to a state of peace. It does not mean that our problems and challenges or our blocks or things disappear, but the power that they have over us to prevent us from moving forward actually diminishes. So whether you do it weekly, whether you have it out there and you just use it daily or whenever you need it, I really recommend you do it because it is absolutely so effective. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know when you do it. Let me know what happens for you. So just a little bit of a disclaimer, make sure you burn that safely. Do not do it where it's going to be like catch on fire with something. And as it burns, allow the smoke to be clear so that it's going somewhere away from your home, away from you, but sit with it until it's completely burnt. Then put the lid on and then safely take it back to the garbage bin. Now, before you put it in the garbage, just run a bit of water around it so that you know you've got all the embers, so that there's nothing that's going to light the garbage on fire. All right. So take it easy. All right. I'll see you next time.